Alright guys, welcome back to another one. This one's for the 16 gauge guys out there, like me. Heavy field loads, ounce and an eighth and up. Now, you guys have probably seen this. I have a ounce and a half turkey load for 16 gauge, of course, and that's a great load. It patterns really well at 25 to 30 yards. The velocity on that one is only 1125 FPS, so it's not a long range load. It's just a good patterning inside of 30 yards turkey smasher. But anyway, these loads are going to be a little bit lighter than that, but a little bit more velocity too. So they should, in theory, have a little bit more range to them. They may not have the same pattern density as the ounce and a half load, but they're still very capable field loads. Let's just get into it, shall we? The first one I'm doing is the ounce and an eighth load. We're using a once fired Federal Haul. A little bit tight going on there, but that's okay. Gotta grab a primer. I didn't have those laying out already. That was a Winchester 209. Could also use a Shadot. Yeah, these are in a Shadot box, but whatever. You can use Rio primers. Any standard strength primer will work. This is not a super hot load or anything. It's about medium low power for the 16 gauge, right at or slightly more than 1300 FPS. Still can't find my lead powder dipper, so I'm using this homemade one. It's a cut off 20 gauge shell with an ink pen, hot glue to it. It works. Just gotta, roll with it. I'm using 26 grains here. As always, double check your powder charges. That was actually 27, so back it off a little bit. There we go, 26 grains. Now the wad, you wouldn't think that we'd be using this one, but we are. It's the Claybuster Pink wad. It's advertised as a 7/8 ounce wad, but actually it holds a ounce and an eighth and 2 3/4 true 2 3/4 inch shells. The Winchester and Remington 1 ounce loads, those hulls are actually 2 and 9/16. They're not true 2 3/4, or actually no, they're 2 and 5/8. My bad. But either way, they're not true 2 3/4. In those hulls, this wad does hold 1 ounce. But in the full length 2 3/4 inch shells, it holds ounce and an eighth. So, and I did already have this flared out with a pair of pliers. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, pair of needle nose pliers. Take the gas seal section of your wad and just pinch it out to get a much better fit in these straight walt hulls. I really do think these Claybusters were meant for the old Winchester tapered hulls that are no longer available and haven't been for quite some time. These are very loose fitting in hulls like your Federal, Fiocchi, and Remington SPs, stuff like that. Pretty loose fitting in it, but we'll make do with what we can. That's why I flare it out, or just use a really thin nitro card underneath it. But if you want to go the nitro card route, you need to use this wad and some filler. That's just the Claybuster blue wad. It's advertised as ounce and an eighth, but it actually holds ounce and a quarter. Just some info for you there. Anyway, this is an ounce and an eighth load, so we need an ounce and an eighth of whatever size lead shot you want. I'm using number 6 shot. You can use an ounce and an eighth of buckshot if you wanted to, an ounce and an eighth of a slug. Just anything, ounce and an eighth lead will work here. But these are field loads, so lead shot. Alright, we have our ounce and an eighth of lead shot. We're going to go ahead and fold crimp this on the lead load all. Front station, 6-point crimp. You want the valley between the crimps facing you. I'll show you here in just a second. If you've never seen my videos before, or anyone else's on the lead load all, you want the valley between the 2 points facing you on the front station. On the back station, you want the point facing you, and that's an 8-point crimp. always, I'm giving it one pull down, lifting up, turning, and just repeating that a few times to get a more even crimp overall. And that right there is not bad at all. That's a pretty good load for a 16 gauge, but it does go heavier, and we will get to that in just a second. Here's the little tip: if you want a slightly deeper crimp with Leloadol, is to take a socket extension. It's 3/8 inch to 1/4 inch. Set your hole back in your final crimp station and put the I done forgot what it's called, but anyway, set it right on there and give it another little pull down, turn it around, and another one. It just looks factory now. And finish it off, run it back through your press 2 more times. And you have basically a factory looking crimp off the Leloadol. Now, if you're loading 12 gauge and you wanted to do that, use the Lyman 525 Sabo slug or a 13mm socket. It works great. The 525 with some shells like the Remington SPs, it's a little bit too big. This really works great with the 10 gauge holes. Makes the crimp on those with the Leloadol amazing. Brand new primed shot hull. This one was previously loaded, but I broke it back down because I wanted the components back out of it. But now I'm loading it again. The wad we'll be using is the Claybuster Blue Wad. Again, advertised as 1 1/8 ounce, but truly it holds 1 1/4 ounce of lead shot, which is what we're doing here. We're using 23 grains of long shot, and that's going to get us 1210 FPS. It's a pretty stout load for a 16 gauge. It gets even heavier though. It's pretty stout with long shot. Blue dot, it goes heavier. And of course Alliance steel and stuff. Again, 23 grains. Well, you know it. That was 23 grains exactly right there. Just got lucky, didn't I? Anyway. Pinch the gas seal of the wad out. Pretty easy to do. Again, if you wanted to use a nitro card, a really thin one would work here instead of pinching the gas seal out. Gonna add a little bit of pressure with my press, and oops, 1 1/4 ounce of lead shot. That's 1.25. And there is 1 1/4 ounce of lead number 6 shot. Let's go ahead and crimp that one. These shot holes were the first things I ever bought when I started reloading shotguns, period. Was 16 gauge shot holes, green dot powder, and those Claybuster Blue Wads, and the Field Commander Z16s. I made some awesome loads back then. Just 1 1/8 ounce at 1200 FPS though. Fired a lot of them. Here's the crimp. Looks pretty good, but it can look better. Again, we're taking the adapter, 3/8 inch to 1/4 inch. Setting it right on top of the hull, crimping it again. I apologize if you guys can't really see this too well. A little bit better. I could have added a little bit more pressure, but I'll do it off camera. You guys get the idea. On to the big one, 1 3/8 ounce. Now, like I mentioned earlier, this is not as heavy as 16 gauge goes. I have loads up to ounce and 7/8 with TSS shot, but I do load ounce and 5/8 and ounce and 3/4 with lead. Now, obviously, you can't really use a shot cup with the ounce and 3/4 loads, but old school sometimes is the best way to go. So, nitro card and fiber wad works pretty good. Anyways, this is a brand new primed Fiocchi hull. These are true 2 3/4 like the previous two were. This one needs 25 grains of blue dot. 25.5 if you want to get specific, but my scale doesn't do tenths of grains, it just does whole grains, so I'm loading 25. This is a little bit hard to get in there. 25. Alright, the wad we're using, CSD 16. These come unslit, so you gotta slit them yourself. Using Gary Caskey's wad slitter. Line that up with the mold lines. You guys won't be able to see this, but just like that. We got 4 petals and a 3/4 slit on the wad. Actually, that's half slit. Need a little bit more. This is adjustable. There we go. Got it now. It is 3/4 cut. I know it's hard to see, but 3/4 cut. Those 25 grains of blue dot, CSD 16 wad, fiber cushion. You need about, I want to say 1/8 of an inch of it, and then tear off half of that, so you're left with just that much, and then just crush it with your fingers. Toss it into the shot cup. Get your wad tamper or your press, whatever you have, and compress that fiber wad into the bottom. That's just for cushion and to take up some of the extra space. Again, this wad holds 1.5 ounces of lead. 1 3/8 ounces of lead shot, that's 1.375. And there's your 1 3/8 ounces of number 6 shot in a 16 gauge. Let's go ahead and fold that. And yeah, you could do an 8-point crimp on these if you wanted to, but I like 6-point crimps. Looking pretty good. I'm going to do that adapter trick one more time. Use a little bit more pressure this time too. I dropped it. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. This is right on par with 12 gauge 2 3/4 inch magnum loads. Heavy pheasant load. Could probably take these at take pheasants with these at 30-40 yards, I would imagine, with ease. Gonna try to get a little bit more you know, crimp on this one right here. This was the 1 1/4 load in the Shaddad hull. Gonna grab the adapter back here. There we go. That's looking a lot better now. Now, if you don't have blue dot, 19 grains of long shot, 19 to 20, is what I use to do 1 3/8 ounce loads, but it's only running 1130 FPS in that ballpark. It's not really fast. And the pressure is right around 11,000. It's not the best powder for 1 3/8 ounce loads in 16 gauge, but it will certainly do it if you don't mind the higher pressure and somewhat lower velocity. Blue dot is the way to go with 1 3/8 ounce loads. if you have Alliance steel, that works great too. Also Hodgdon little gun. This will really handle your 1 3/8 loads. That's the powder that we use for 1 7/8 with TSS, but I don't have any TSS shot at the moment. I might show you guys that load someday, but not right now. Another thing I want to mention is if you load the 1 3/8 load with long shot, do that one at your own risk. That is not published data. That's just a load I came up with and have been using for a year and a half. It works pretty good. It patterns well. It's not very loud. It doesn't kick very hard. But again, it's not published. That is my personal data. So again, use it at your own risk. And just because I have these sitting out here, this is a Fiocchi brand new primed hull, and this is a once fired Remington 1 ounce game load. You guys can see the difference in the height. These are not true 2 3/4, as I've mentioned many times on this channel before. These are actually 2 5/8 or 2 9/16. These hulls are the exact same length as the black ones, 2 5/8. Again, just a little bit shorter than the true 2 3/4 inch Fiocchi. There you go, you guys can see it there. And these are good up to 1 1/8 ounce. I wouldn't load heavier than that in it, but that's just me. You guys do whatever you want, as long as it's safe, of course. These are actually shutout hulls, and these, they're a good hull to reload. They last quite a while. But anyway, we really appreciate you watching. If you want to, leave us a like and subscribe. We greatly appreciate that. If you got any questions or comments, leave it in the comment section below, and we will get back to you. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.